So, are all sweet things bad for you? The answer is no, and I'm about to tell you why. So, not all sweet things are bad for you. And we already know that fruit is sweet generally and good for us. But when it comes to sweeteners, things like sugar, artificial sweeteners, and all that other stuff, really not good for you, detrimental to your health. I won't tell you why because I'm going to let you look that up on your own if you don't already know, which I'm sure you do. But there is one sweetener that comes straight from Mother Nature herself that's so incredibly beneficial that I had to do a whole blog post and video about it. And that's, have you guessed already? Honey. It's that simple, honey. Honey is one of the most potent superfoods on the planet, and I just don't think that it gets celebrated as much as it deserves to be. So we love bees, we love what bees do for the earth, and one of the great things that bees do for us is provide us with honey. And I'm not just talking about the run-of-the-mill honey that comes on any store shelf. I'm talking about raw honey and Manuka honey, because in the world of these bee-created sweeteners, there is a hierarchy. And when you're shopping for honey, if you just want to use honey to cook with, for example, in my home, we're a super low sugar home, especially when the kids were small. When they're teenagers, you can't really control what they put in their mouths when they leave the house. But I don't actually have sugar in my home. So if I have a recipe that calls for sugar, I use honey instead. I use honey in my coffee, honey in the tea, honey in smoothies, whatever needs a little boost to sweetness, honey. And for that, it's totally fine to use the regular kind, that comes in the little plastic bear. Although you want to read the label, because unfortunately, just because you see something that says honey on a store shelf, often you're going to find that there are preservatives and other random fillers. So you want to make sure that the only ingredient in your honey is honey. Aside from that, you want to really benefit from the honey that you use, I super highly recommend raw honey. Raw honey, and I've got a couple of examples here for you. I really, really like the Trader Joe's raw honey. This is great. It's got a thicker consistency to it. And then at Aldi, I pick up the Rice Family Farms raw honey because it's a Southwest blend, which is particular to where I live, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So why raw honey? Raw honey is a little bit more expensive than regular honey, but because it's not been processed and pasteurized, it still maintains so many of its health and beauty boosting nutrients intact. And so you're really going to see health benefits and beauty benefits from raw honey more so than regular pasteurized processed honey. And the reason for that, so when honey goes through the process of, making it regular store shelf kind that you use in your tea and whatever else, it's getting rid of a lot of the benefits that natural raw honey will still maintain. And those are things like prebiotics, flavonoids, antioxidants, polyphenols. Hold on, I'm checking my brain browsers. Propolis, and what else? Phytonutrients. Yeah. So those are all of the things that are in honey. And once it's processed, most of that stuff goes away. So you're not going to get really, really great benefits. Raw honey is going to benefit you in so many ways because all of these things that I just listed are incredible for immune boosting. They are antifungal, they are antioxidant, they are antibacterial. So when you're having just a teaspoon of raw honey in your food, in your drinks, your body is taking in a lot of just really naturally nutritious and healing compounds. With this raw honey that I showed you, which is from Trader Joe's, it's a bit of a thicker consistency, as you can see. And this is really great for, I use it for everything. It dissolves right away when I put it in my coffee. But what it's also really good for is your skin. So because it's such an antioxidant, because raw honey is such an antioxidant and it's got so many great healing compounds in it, actually helps to regenerate tissue. Honey can be used on your skin for anything from acne to eczema to even scarring. So if you use it consistently on your skin, if you have a scar or an irritation, put a little bit on. It is sticky, and you want to stay indoors so you don't attract the flies, but it just really helps for your skin to heal itself, to regenerate. Because it's got antibacterial properties, it's going to help with acne as well. So you want to slather a little bit on, make a little mask, if you will, and just kind of relax for 20 minutes, wash it off, and your skin will really feel super soft. It'll feel healthy. It'll feel supple, and you'll look radiant. So I love that. And then when it comes to why I like to use local raw honey, so when I moved to the desert, this past spring was my first spring in the desert, I started to have environmental allergies, and so did my kids for the first time ever. Mine were actually worse than theirs. They would sneeze a handful of times and that was it. But I ended up with like crazy itchy eyes and just like constant sneezing. And I hadn't had allergies like that since I was a kid. So I was speaking to one of my friends who also moved to the area at the same time I did. And her husband had bought some bee pollen from a local farmer at the farmer's market, and they so sweetly donated some to me. So I started to take some bee pollen, and then I started to read up on apitherapy and just different and better ways to combat allergies rather than using, the typical OTC antihistamine, which is fine. I have in my home as well, but I really do like to get to the root cause of things when it comes to health and wellness. And so between the local bee pollen and the locally sourced raw honey, my allergies were gone. And it wasn't even a situation where I had to use this stuff religiously for 2 weeks. Within the first 24 hours, massive difference. After 48 hours of the bee pollen and the raw honey, no allergies at all. So, and anytime I start to feel like I'm getting a little bit tickly in the back of my throat or my eyes are starting to itch, I double up on the raw honey, the local raw honey, and I'm back perfect. And what's crazy is that I found faster and better, more effective relief from local raw honey than from some of the OTC medications that I usually take when I'm dealing with an allergic reaction to whatever pollen, dust, or whatever is in the air. And if you live in the desert, it's just dusty in general. So it's just really incredible how your body reacts to these natural things. And then what else was I going to talk to you about honey? So in the hierarchy of honey, so you've got your regular honey, just your run-of-the-mill stuff you can use in your tea or whatever. You've got your raw honey, preferably organic. If you want those allergy boosting or busting, not boosting, allergy busting benefits, you want to go for the locally grown and sourced raw honey. And then if you want the queen bee of all honeys, this is the kind of honey that, Gwyneth and all them have been talking about for a while. You want to use Manuka honey. So Manuka honey is one of the more expensive honeys, but it's also I don't know. It is, what can I say? It's like the superhero, the top of the line, royal, unbelievable honey. It's got all of that. It's got the prebiotics, the amino acids, the flavonoids, the polyphenols, the, the propolis, the antioxidants. It's got all of that, but supercharged above and beyond what regular organic raw honey has. And Manuka honey is from New Zealand. So you want to make sure if you're in the market for a Manuka honey that it's from New Zealand. Anything else is not going to be the original, so you're not going to get the promised benefits. You need a lot less of this than of regular raw honey because it is so potent. It tastes amazing, incredible. And so you are, it is more expensive because it is imported and it's just so potent. But a little bit of this goes a very long way. So where you would use a teaspoon of regular or regular raw honey, with Manuka, you could use a quarter of that and still have the same benefits. I really, really like the New Zealand Honey Company. They have really excellent Manuka honey. Let me show it to you like this. And you can get it with different strengths, basically. I just find that their practices are very sustainable. This is the thing with honey, is you also want it to be sustainable in order for it not to be like, I don't know, if you want to take the bees into consideration, you want them to, have the best existence while they are producing this honey for us. And I really appreciate being able to support companies that care about their bees. So happy bees make good honey, right? So with the Manuka honey, we really like to use it in the house. We're on a budget, so I like my Manuka honey to last as long as possible. So the Manuka honey is really reserved for if anyone is starting to feel a bit under the weather. It is unbelievably effective, better than any cough medicine on the planet. You start to have a tickle in your throat, you start to become a little bit sick, a little bit of cough. You want to be in tune with your body. And I'm going to say this for all the stuff that I talk about when it comes to like immune support. You want to be in tune enough with your body to where when you start to feel those initial little bits of discomfort, that you go into attack mode right away. You pull out your special natural remedies that I'm going to share with you, like honey, and you start using them right away consistently. I have had so much success using stuff like Manuka honey and other natural things in the home to keep pathogens at bay, to keep the whole family from getting sick when one person, is exposed to a pathogen. And it's amazing, or to just shorten or lessen the severity of an illness. So Manuka honey really is unbelievably effective for coughs. It helps soothe the throat, and it will help to support your immune system because, like I said, it's got all of those incredible healthy compounds. It's also good for gastrointestinal upset. So if you've got a stomach ache, some Manuka honey is great. If you can't get a hold of Manuka honey, or it's just a little too prohibitive cost-wise, then I do recommend getting a regular organic raw honey. It will still have the same benefits, just not, amplified like Manuka does. But honey is such a fantastic thing to have on hand. I'm sure most of you do. If you don't have the raw honey, I would recommend going and getting some. We are heading into cold and flu season, and so it's just really nice to have some stuff on hand to help you combat illness as quickly and as effectively and as naturally as possible. And again, you can use it for if you have a stomach upset, or you can use it if your skin's just not behaving itself, or you can just use it if your skin is behaving itself, because it's just a nutritional boost, keeps your skin looking healthy, and really helps with premature aging. So you want to always do good things, good natural things for your skin to stay as healthy and happy as possible. There's so much other good stuff these honeys can do for you and your bodies, and they're all listed in a lot more detail in my blog post below, which is called Honey, I Love You. And I'm also going to go ahead and put some links on where you can find these beautiful honeys, so that you can have a much sweeter existence. Thanks for listening, and I hope that you go ahead, like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do so that you can keep getting all of my Adulthood Rewired tips, tricks, and life hacks. See you next time.